Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Build your AutoCAD IQ. Today we're going to be introducing some new features in AutoCAD 2017. My name is Ashley, and joining me today are my colleagues Dave, our presenter, Volker, and Nauman, our AutoCAD expert elites. We'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of their day to be here. We're certainly very happy to have you, and we hope that you enjoy the webinar. So before we begin, we'd just like to introduce ourselves. I'll start with myself. I'm a technical support specialist based out of our Boston office. Dave, our presenter, is also a technical support specialist, and he's based in our Manchester, New Hampshire office. Nauman is our AutoCAD expert elite, and he's based out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And our addition to this webinar is Volker, who is also a technical support specialist, and he's based out of our Lake Oswego, Oregon office. So before we get started, please feel free to leave questions in the chat window, and we'll answer them as best we can. For answers that we don't get to in the chat window, we'll certainly address those after the webinar. This session is being recorded, and the links are available in the registration reminder, the chat window, as well as the post-webinar survey. And I think right now we'll go ahead and do a couple of quick polls. Dave, I'll go ahead and get those. The first one is this your first Autodesk webinar? So it looks like for a lot of you, this is not your first webinar, so welcome back. And for those of you, if this is your first webinar, very special welcome to you. The second poll that we have here is, what application do you use? All right, so it looks like most of you that are joining us are using AutoCAD and also close in there AutoCAD LT, and then we have some other applications. So some of our upcoming webinar topics, we'll go over those quickly. So we have Back to Basics, an introduction to layer management in AutoCAD 2017. That's on March 31st. Then we have Beyond the Basics, working with the Action Recorder in AutoCAD 2017. That's going to be on April 7th. Then we have the third dimension, 2D to 3D workflows in AutoCAD, and that's on April 14th. And then we have tips and tricks, which are to be determined on April 21st. So you can watch past webinars anytime by visiting our Autodesk YouTube channel. You can also download the datasets from Box if you'd like to follow along. You can register for the Build Your AutoCAD IQ webinar series by visiting our landing page. And please visit and encourage your peers to visit our AutoCAD community forums and share your knowledge. And if you're interested to share feedback with the AutoCAD development team, it's highly recommended to join the AutoCAD Customer Council, where you can share your feedback and, of course, help influence the creation of great future releases. If you'd like to get involved, you can email us at autocad.beta@autodesk.com. And then, of course, our Autodesk Knowledge Network. Here you can find a lot of really great articles, service packs, and hotfixes for AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT. And we'll get straight into our agenda for today. So some of the new features in AutoCAD 2017 include the Autodesk desktop application. Dave's going to go over a migration from a previous release, the License Manager, 2D graphics changes, also some changes to the user interface, center lines and center marks, importing PDF geometry, coordination model improvements, and Print Studio.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Dave, and we hope everyone enjoys learning about these new features.
Thanks, Ashley, and thank you for that marvelous introduction. Today what I'm going to do is a little bit of live stuff and a little bit of some PowerPoint and I guess back and forth. Some of the things that are new to 2017 don't show up so well over a webinar type of thing, where the graphics isn't updating very well through the webinar. So I guess you'll have to trust me on some of this, and if you wish to. If not, you can just say yeah, right, and we go along from there. I also want to mention that I have been having problems with my computer over the last couple of days, where things have been acting really slow. So hopefully everything runs just fine. But if we have any performance issues, I wouldn't blame AutoCAD 2017. I'd blame my computer at the moment. So the first thing that we want to talk about, I got quite a bit of stuff to go through, and I will do my best to get through it all before the end of the hour, is the new application manager, which or the Autodesk desktop application, which replaces the application manager. So this is actually a pretty cool update to what is currently available out there. And let's see if I can find my icon here. And of course, it doesn't seem like it's all installed, so I won't even show that at the moment. But what this shows is you're going to have a new interface for downloading any kind of updates, service packs, hotfixes, etc., to any of the Autodesk products. And I don't think all Autodesk products will be using this initially, but this will be working for all the products from 2015 through the 2017 release. You'll see that there's going to be icons on the left-hand side, which will allow you to pick whichever products that you have installed. So AutoCAD, this is AutoCAD Architecture, AutoCAD Electrical, LT, AutoCAD MEP, etc., Navisworks, and so on. Oops, went too far there. And then you can simply hit the update button. And this also has a much better reporting system. So after you do an update, you'll be able to see, if everything installed properly, and be able to see what's gone on from there. If there is an update, then the update will show in the systems tray with the application manager icon, which you can see here in this little box. So that's the first new thing that you're going to see. Well, actually, probably the first new thing you're going to see is some of the migration utilities and the license management changes that are in AutoCAD. So one thing that you're going to see here, and I'm not going to run it because I already have AutoCAD running, and you can only run this with the AutoCAD not running. But if you go to All Programs, Autodesk 2017, and you see I have lots of different versions of AutoCAD here. Migrate custom settings, and you pick migrate from a previous release. What you're going to see is a new interface here, which will allow you to select which release you want to migrate from. So this is a drop-down that you can pick, and it'll show whichever versions of AutoCAD that you have installed. And depending on what you've changed, the various boxes here will become enabled or disabled. So like in this case, I didn't make any changes to line types or command aliases. So those are just grayed out for me. And you could select each piece or none of them, or just clear them. And of course, my favorite tool in the entire world is if things aren't working quite right, and we go back to the 2017 folder, you always have the reset settings to default option, which will put AutoCAD back into its out-of-the-box state. And basically you would need to reapply any custom settings that you had, but most likely it'll fix any kind of issues that you were running with before. So so you're going to see hopefully some nice new functionality there with the migrate custom settings. The very first thing you're going to see is probably the license manager changes. So one of the big differences here with the license management is that you don't need to install or enter a serial number or a product key when you first install the software. Basically, you will be prompted for this information when you launch the software for the first time, and you simply pick which type of license you want, if a standalone or a network license, and it'll bring you to the same kind of interface that you've seen previously, where you can enter the serial number and the product code and go ahead and run the software. One of the things that's a little bit different is if I go to my AutoCAD sign-in here and go to Manage License, this will allow me to see what kind of a license I have. So I've got a not for resale version of AutoCAD 2017, but I could even change my license type. And I'm not going to do that because it's going to make me restart AutoCAD if I do this. But I could actually change from standalone to a network license. And this will also show any plugins or add-ons and such that are installed along with AutoCAD. So it's going to give you a lot more flexibility with how all of this works. Also, a couple of other things here with the licensing. If you are somebody that works from home or something like that, or works out of the country, you can borrow a license for up to 6 months. So you could use a temporary license offline without access to the license server. So that's a great new tool for you. And if you happen to lose your network connection, the timer that starts for AutoCAD doesn't actually start until you dismiss the message. So if it just goes down temporarily, you don't have to close down AutoCAD or anything. You could just wait a little bit for the server to come back online. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to some of the features and functionality aspect of the software. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about 2D graphics. And the very first thing I want to talk about is the graphics performance tools. So I just right-clicked on this little blue box here in the status bar and went to 3D config or 3D performance monitor. And if you have a device that is DirectX capable and you have hardware acceleration turned on, you're going to get some great new benefits as far as graphics is concerned. I'm not going to even try to show side by side because I don't think you're going to be able to see the difference with the webinar running. But one thing that we can do here is, let's see, where are you? Whoops. Right over here. Okay. So if I select this column here and I right-click on the grip and I select copy, in previous releases of AutoCAD, the preview here of where I'm moving the object to could show up as kind of jagged edges and such. With line smoothing on in 2017, assuming that you have the right type of graphics cards and stuff, it should be very fluid so that you don't get any of those types of graphics anomalies that may have displayed in previous releases. One of the cooler things, I guess, I'm going to switch to another view here where I've got, what do we got here? How come this is not displaying long beam? Dotted. So if you have a object that is on a layer or a line layer with a line type that is using dots, you're going to see that the line type actually is much more visible than it was in previous releases. Instead of just a single pixel showing up the dot, you actually have a dot that will show with the line type itself or the line width, so that you see something that is really graphically presentable. I'm going to change this actually from dots to the dash dot. And again, you can see that, things are visible very nicely. And what I want to show you here is, in normal AutoCAD, if you were to do a selection, say a race or something, and you don't actually include the line type, you don't select the, select the part of the line type that's visible, you can't select it. So there's actually a new system variable, and it's called LT gap selection. Oops. Gap selection. If you set this to 1, and by the way, the default is set to 0, so it's like traditional behavior. But with it set to 1, if I come over and I just move my cursor, I don't know how well this is showing up on the screen, but I can actually select a line or a line with a line type or a polyline, whatever it is, even if I'm not over a piece of the physical geometry. So it knows that there's a line going through here. And actually, if you can just mute yourself while you're not talking, because I think I'm hearing you doing things in the background, but it's fine. So you can actually select lines like that. And if I pick on this, I want to show you one other thing here with these line types. I'm going to just change this back to dotted. And I'm going to do a line from the end of here, and I'm going to say I want to go perpendicular to this other line type. And you'll see that even though there is no geometry there, right, it's just a dotted line, that it recognizes that that there was an arc or a polyline, whatever it is, and it will allow you to snap to it. So it's great new functionality that I think will benefit a lot of people. The other thing, let's go back over here to this hatch deck. And again, I don't know how well this is going to show up in the webinar, is that when you have a hatching with kind of tight line work and such, sometimes that wouldn't display too well in previous releases of AutoCAD. And now with the new graphics and everything, you get a much better display of this type of line work or hatching. So it'll give you a better representation of what's happening within the drawing file. Okay, so I'm going to move on, and let me open up the next piece here, which is the user interface. And if Ashley's not muted, somebody else isn't, because I'm hearing somebody. Volker, maybe?
Yeah, mine's off. I'm not really hearing any background noise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I know who it is. I got it.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
So as far as the user interface, there's a number of things here that we have done. So first of all, if I go over to my layer dialog box and go to layer states and manage layer states, there are a number of dialog boxes that weren't previously resizable and now are. So you can resize things like the layer states manager, the page setup manager, the attribute editor, and the insert dialog box, among other things. But one of the really cool things here is with the insert dialog box. And if I say that I want to insert a block, let's say I want to insert this HS logo. So it's great, right? We get this logo image here and everything. But if I pick on the dialog box and I expand it, not only does it expand the entire dialog box, but it also expands the image here. So you can see what's happening or what the block looks like instead of just a little tiny image where you might not see if this is really the right one. Another thing that is new to the insert dialog box is auto fill in or auto complete, I guess. So if I type in TI for title, right? It says, oh, there's something here called a title block, and it'll find whatever is there, so you don't have to do a whole selection. If you have really complex block names, you just start typing it in, and then you can start whittling your way down into the block that you're actually looking for. There's also a change in the units command. So one of the new units here is US survey feet, which is kind of like a foot or a feet, but a little different. In the PowerPoint that I have that you can download, I actually put in a link to what a US survey foot is, if anybody's interested. It's basically instead of a fraction or something, it's something else. It's very, very, very close to a foot long, but not quite, and it's used by some surveying databases and such in the United States. So we now have access to US survey feet if you need that type of thing. I'm hoping that I never do, but that's just me. We also have a new feature here. I'm going to go ahead and select on this title block, and if I just hit delete, normally what happens is it deletes the object, right? However, there's a system variable that sometimes gets reset, especially by third-party applications. So it's called pick first. And if pick first is set to 0, and I select an object and I hit delete, normally what would happen is nothing would happen. So what happens now, and by the way, I'm hitting the delete key. I'm not hitting erase or whatever. I'm actually hitting the delete key. What happens now is you get a dialog box that says, hey, the pick first system variable controls whether or not you can select objects before you start a command, and do you want to change that? And you can sit there and say yes, which I probably would. I'd always want it to do that. And any of those types of settings, if you haven't dealt with this, that's under you, system. Yeah, under the System tab here in the options, you have hidden message settings, and you could always re-enable a particular message. If you say, don't show this again, this is where you go back to allow you to see that again if you want to. So if I said OK, and then I go over into AutoCAD and I hit delete and turn pick first off first, it would show me that same message again. Okay, tooltips. So I'm sure most people are familiar with tooltips, and again, this is something that I'm not sure how well it's going to show. But if I were to, let's see, what's a good one? Annotate. Probably this one, right? If you hover over a command in the ribbon, right, we get a tooltip that shows up. And if I can find something that has a second level tooltip, let's see. Try to remember which things would have a second layer tooltip. There we go. So after a small pause, you'll end up getting an additional information about the object. So now inside of options, if I go there, and on the display tab, there is actually a new setting for the number of seconds to wait before you get a tooltip. So if you don't like tooltips to display, right, or you want them to display right away, you can set it to 0 and it'll automatically expand the tooltips and give you the whole thing. If you are somebody that is pretty comfortable with the software and you don't want it to display very much, you can set it to 3 seconds and there'll be a longer delay before you see that additional tooltip show up. So it gives you a little bit more control over what type of information is being displayed in the ribbon, and not giving you, a tooltip that's popping up right away if you're already comfortable with the software. Let's go to the Model tab here. And what I want to do is show a little bit about some changes in hatching. So I'm going to just start the hatch command. Oops, ignore. And let's see what that just did. Told you I was having problems with my software or my computer. So no. So let me see if I can, this just gives me a great opportunity to talk about the error reporting that's within the software. If you ever have problems crashed using hatching in 2017, if you ever have a crash, it's great to send in a crash report and include the email that's so we can look up crash reports in the future. But hopefully you folks don't have these issues, since, like I said, I'm just having a problem with AutoCAD 2017 at the moment. Or not AutoCAD, but with my computer. Let me just restart AutoCAD. But in general, what I want to talk about here is with the hatch command, there's now a new setting that will allow you to place hatches on a particular layer, regardless of the layer that's being set. So there's a new HP layer system variable, and that will control what layer things are being placed on, if it's by layer or if you want it to be on a particular layer. And that's something that will show up in the hatch drop-down dialog box as to what layer it should be put on. And you can also actually even type in a brand new layer name. Like you could say, I want all hatches to go on the new hatch layer. And it'll even create the layer if it doesn't exist. So it's some nice new functionality that's available within the hatching command. And once this is back up and running, we'll move on to the next piece. Okay. Hopefully it's going to be up soon. Here we go. Okay. So we don't need that. And we want to go to recent and user interface. Okay. So the next thing that's new in 2017 is some changes to the text edit command. So we'll get back in here. And let's go back to my model tab. So I can't let Volker have all the awkward moments. I have to have a couple once in a while. So one of the things that's new here is if I select on a piece of text and I go to Edit, okay, and I just say I'm going to change that from a lowercase f to an uppercase f. What we can do, there's a new option here for mode, which is you can set to multiple. So basically, I can keep on picking on different pieces of text and updating them without restarting the text edit command each time. So it's just a lot faster for being able to do things like that. Okay, and let me go ahead and close this one. And let's go back and let's look at center lines. And we're still waiting for center lines. Here we go. So there's actually some new tools here on the Annotate tab. There's center lines and center marks. And the centerline command will start there. Allows you to pick two objects, and they don't even have to be parallel to one another. Like you can see, these are at a slight angle, and it'll go ahead and add a center line for that piece of geometry. Do the same thing over here, and we'll just go ahead and add a center line if I can pick it. And there are grips on here, so you can stretch things if you want them to be a little bit longer. Grab that. See if I can grab that grip. There we go. So you can automatically add center lines to things just by selecting the geometry. Whoops, I missed. Okay, go ahead and stretch that to there. And then there's also center marks. So if I grab the circle, it'll go ahead and add a center mark to the circle. And these objects are automatically associated to the geometry that you're using or that you're selecting. So if I were to move that circle, oops, I moved the wrong circle. The center line will automatically go along with it. To control these center lines and center marks, there's a whole list of different center line variables. So, cross gap and size and association, the layer, the line type, whatever. So there's a whole bunch of things here that you can use to adjust how the center lines are displayed. I'm not going to go through each one of these things, but just know that if you just type in center, the autocomplete will show you the various system variables that control center lines. Let's go to the PDF import. So one thing that I know that I've seen a lot of is people asking about how to convert PDF files to AutoCAD geometry. So in this release, you can actually do that directly inside of AutoCAD. You don't need a third-party tool in order to convert PDF files into AutoCAD geometry. So if I come over here and I select on this PDF file, which is already attached, I'm actually going to simplify this just a little bit here. Let's get rid of some of the layers in the PDF file and just leave some line work left on here. We can say I want to import PDF information as objects, and you could either just use a box to select things. I could say all. I can go into a polygon if I need to change something, but I can just select what I want. You have an option to keep the PDF or detach it. I'm going to say I want to get rid of it. And what it just did is it just converted that PDF file into native AutoCAD objects. So it's pretty cool. It works really nicely for if you have the need to use a PDF file. Obviously, it's going to work best with a vector PDF file, probably not as well with a raster PDF file. But we can also do this during the import. So if I do a PDF import and I say I want to import a file, and let's go to my webinars folder. And I want the Mountain View Cabin. So in this particular PDF, this is actually a multi-sheet PDF. So I've got 4 different sheets. I'm just going to select sheet number 3, and there are a bunch of different options. Do you want to use the layers? Do you want to use TrueType text if there is TrueType text in there? Do you want to import raster images, etc.? So there's lots of different settings here. I'm just going to say OK. And you can see this is converting almost 22,000 PDF elements into native AutoCAD geometry. Okay. And here's my new drawing file that was generated from a PDF file. So the one thing that I want you to know is that it will only convert TrueType fonts to actual text. If you have SHX fonts in your PDF file, that's actually going to get converted as individual line work. It's not going to be actually text objects. So, for example, in this drawing, there's a combination of things. So, zoom in here. If I pick on the letters here in this text box, these are all individual pieces of geometry. It's not actually text. But if I zoom over to the title block, if I can get my mouse to behave. Okay, the objects in the title block are actually converted as mtext. So I think this will be a great new tool for people that do go from a PDF file into AutoCAD. And let's see what else. So next one on my list here is something called Design View. So let me close this. Share Design View. So this is a basically better integration with our Autodesk 360 account. And I'm not going to run this all live because it takes a little while to process. But if I go to, where am I going? Oh, the A360 tab, there is now something called Share Design View. So when you select this, you basically have the option to publish this in a browser right away, basically live publishing, or publish it in the background in the cloud. So if you say I want to publish this in the cloud, so this is being sent to a completely secure a cloud server. This will notify you when the publish is done and give you a link that you can then pick to share with somebody. So if I were to go here, like I said, you have the two different options, and then if you said to notify you when it's complete, you get a little pop-up in your status bar that says, hey, the publish is now done. Do you want to view it? And if you say yes, let's see, where are you? Cancel. Thought I had this open already, but if you say I don't have it open, so I'm not going to go find it right now. It'll open up. Oh, actually, I can get it from the PowerPoint because I have it right here. By the way, when I publish this PowerPoint, this particular link will be removed because I'm going to. This is only good for 30 days, the link, before it's deleted. So I don't want to publish something that's going to have a broken link. But what happens is you now have your model published to be able to share with various people, and it's you don't have to give them the drawing. You can actually mark these things up and just view the model without having the drawing on your computer. So it's a great new set of tools. Let me go back to AutoCAD. So that's Design View. A couple other things about this. As far as the browsers are concerned, it supports Chrome, Firefox, and any other browser that supports WebGL 3D graphics, whatever that is. So I would imagine that any of the new versions of Internet Explorer, etc., will be able to work with this. And like I said, these files would be available for up to 30 days up on the cloud. And people do not have to be logged into A360 or have AutoCAD installed to be able to view these files that you're putting up on the cloud. Let's see, how am I doing on time? 2:39, okay. So next thing I want to show is a little bit about 3D graphics. So I think if I'm not mistaken, everything I've shown so far is available to both AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT. The next couple of things here are going to be AutoCAD only because we're talking about 3D capabilities. And my computer is still being slow. Ashley, you want to sing us a song while I'm waiting?
I think we'd lose quite a few attendees if I did that.
This is loading a fairly complex 3D drawing, so it's just taking a moment here. And again, this is going to be one of those things that may or may not show up very well on a webinar, since we're talking about latency with the graphics and such being displayed, but we'll give it a try here. And hopefully this shows up well. So again, I'm going to go to my Model tab. And if it ever wants to go there. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start the orbit command. And as I'm sitting here, and this is just a conceptual view, but you know, this actually works pretty well with realistic views as well. Doesn't look like I'm quite up and running yet. There we go. Just notice that there's a little guy in my drawing sitting there. Let me see if closing a couple of these other drawings is going to help. All right, if Ashley's not going to sing, maybe Volker will tell a story.
Well, I will. How's that? Actually, I'll talk about a system variable that might interest some and others might find sacrilegious. And that is the cursor type system variable. And basically, it is set to 0 as a default, but if you change it to 1, it will change your crosshairs to a regular mouse cursor. So for those who want that, it's there. For those who don't want it and see it appearing, know that there is a system variable available.
And that's another new feature for 2017, right?
Correct.
Yep. All right, let's give this another try here. All right, so let's go back to orbit. And actually, this is kind of not displaying what I would expect it to be displaying, but what you should be seeing is pretty much fluid, rendered geometry instead of going to the sketch mode where it's just kind of giving you an idea of what's happening. So again, my computer's not behaving quite nicely for me today. So let's get out of this. And by the way, there are a bunch of videos that will go over all of these things that I also have a link to in the PowerPoint. So if you want to see what things are supposed to be looking like when things are behaving themselves, take a look at some of the videos, and I think that you'll get a better idea of what's happening here. So I'm going to go to the conceptual or coordination model. So I got two more things to cover here: coordination model and Print Studio. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this, AutoCAD started, I believe, last year, being able to import what we call a coordination model, which would be a file coming from Navisworks, so like an NWD file, and added a little bit more functionality to that this year. I'm going to go to my insert. Actually, I changed my workspace to my 3D workspace. And I'm going to do an insert, attach, and I'm going to change this to a Navisworks file. And it's in the drawings. So I've got this large Navisworks file that I'm going to import. I'm just going to accept the defaults here about the zoom and scale and everything. And this will bring in a Navisworks NWD file into AutoCAD. Just waiting for it to finish loading. And I think I'll be visiting IT after my presentation. All right.
Coco, you have any other interesting stories? Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So this is, brings in my Navisworks file, and one of the new features here that I want to show is that you can actually snap very easily to the various geometry. So, for example, if I wanted to put a box in from the corner of these walls, I can go ahead and just select them, give it a height, say 8 inches. And it'll allow me to snap right to the geometry from the Navisworks file. So really nice that we can now have that kind of functionality working with files that really could be a combination of all kinds of different file formats, because Navis can read in all, lots of different file formats. And one more thing here. Oh, maybe not. Apologize for the issues I've been having today. I guess we can always blame this on GoToWebinar. We don't have to blame it on my computer. All right, one more thing. Let's see if we can get through the last feature, which I think is probably one of the coolest things, so I don't want to miss it. So AutoCAD 2017 basically now has the capability of printing directly to 3D printers. there's a number of different devices that are available, which I will show you in a moment, I hope. And there's a new application, a companion application that you can install. It's not installed by default, but it's installed free. So if I go back to my sheet set manager, I'm just going to open up this drawing called Print Studio. And this is another fairly complex 3D model since it's all solids and such. So as I said, Print Studio is not installed by default. It's an option during the install. And if you select the Print Studio button without it installed, it'll just ask you if you want to install it. So it's pretty, very user-friendly. So here I have this beautiful little log cabin that I want to print as a 3D model. And you're going to see that that this is actually a pretty simple process now to get something from AutoCAD to a 3D printer. So I'm going to again go back to my model tab. If I can find my mouse, there we go. Guess I could have saved a little bit of time by leaving all these drawings saved in my model tab instead of switching to it each time. But they look nice when they're in a sheet. All right, so here I have my my low log cabin, and again, you need to be in the the 3D workspace, right? So if you go to workspaces, you want to be set to 3D modeling in order to get to these tools. But on the output tool, or output tab, there is a new command here called Print Studio. And first thing is really cool is that it says, hey, do you want to learn about how to 3D print? Because 3D printing isn't as straightforward as just printing something. There's a lot of criteria that has to be met in order to be able to print something as 3D objects. So I'm just going to select my building, and it'll go ahead and launch Print Studio, assuming it's installed. And I said if it's not, it's going to ask you if you want to install it. But if you look in the lower right-hand side, it says, it's unioning selected objects. It's trying to figure out how to, move this thing to a 3D device. And if you think this is slow, wait until you see how long it takes to actually print the thing, right? I'm not sure how many people have seen things being 3D printed, but it's not a fast process. But it's a whole lot faster than building a little model, with cardboard or something like that. This was definitely working much faster than this yesterday. This, again, is problems with my computer.
I blame it on GoToWebinar, Dave.
All right, let's go to webinar and my computer. I want to blame it on my computer so I can get a new one. It looks like it's almost there. And Print Studio is a free tool, so it's not something that you have to purchase. And it's basically going to allow you to import the model and do some checking on it instead of just trying to print something to a 3D printer and hoping that it works. It's going to actually kind of validate the model beforehand. So I'm just going to say OK here. Here we go. OK. And this will launch Print Studio. Eventually. I think we need some elevator hold music.
I'll work on having that ready for the next webinar.
Yeah. All right. So basically, here inside of Print Studio, you'll see that there are a number of different devices that we support out of the box. Ember is a 3D printer that Autodesk makes ourselves, and then MakerBot and several others. So I'm just going to close that. And I say I want to scale this to fit within my printer, and it'll show you the model. And it allows you to go through various things here. And if I hit export, you can actually export a file out that you could bring to a printer, 3D printer, as opposed to just printing directly. So, if I had the device, I'd be able to just create my little model here without, anything else. It's just using Print Studio. So really neat. I apologize for some of the problems I've been having with the computer today, but hopefully that gives you a little idea of some of the main features that were added to 2017. And if we have time for a question or two, we can go through that. And I don't know what kind of questions we've had in the window here, but do we have anything that we want to talk about during the rest of the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, Dave, we have a couple of questions here that we weren't able to get to. So one of them is, which of the features you talked about today are available in AutoCAD LT?
So as I was mentioning, I believe that LT would have everything in it other than the 3D stuff that I talked about. So it certainly wouldn't have the Print Studio and the ability to bring in Navisworks files and things like that, but all the other stuff should be available in LT. Unless I'm wrong, Volker, if you know if there's anything else.
Basically what you mentioned, the object coordination model changes that were made aren't going to be available, but everything else is available in LT.
Okay.
Everything you showed, so.
Okay, and probably only have time for one more question so we can get the last poll and talk about the last couple of things.
So since you were going through the PDFs, where do you go to insert the PDF again? Can you go through that, Dave, quickly?
Yeah, just do insert, attach, and then you can change here to PDF files and just do a insert PDF. And I'm in the 3D space, but in the standard 2D modeling, whatever, I think the insert tab is like the second or third tab over. Or you can just type attach, and that'll allow you to do the same thing. So let's go ahead and wrap up. So there's a couple things here real quick. In the additional resources, I listed the trial download. So if you don't have 2017 yet and you want to give it a try, you can download it. Put a link to the new features, a link to some of the videos about the new features, system requirements. There is an issue with the PDF import if you want to convert to geometry. Basically, all you have to do is make sure that you have a full path to the PDF file. If you have a relative path, it won't work. But there's an article that talks about that. And I mentioned that I put a link into what a US survey foot is. And the last one there is a link to all the videos that my colleague Heidi put together showing a lot of these new features. So if you want to kind of step through any of those individually instead of going through the whole recording of the webinar, you can do that. And last couple of things I'll let Ashley cover. Can't hear you, Ashley.
Sorry about that. I forgot to take myself off. So again, thank you everyone for joining us today. Dave, you did a really great job on the webinar. We encourage everyone to give us your feedback. There's a URL here. You can our AutoCAD community forum, or you can email us directly at autodesk.help.webinars@autodesk.com.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and take our final poll today. And that is, did you learn something new in today's session?
I was going to say that I should have stopped the voting because it was 100% yes, but now it's only 99% yes.
Well, we're definitely happy to hear that people learned something new today. That means that Dave did a really great job. So. Again, thank you everyone for attending the webinar, and we hope that you'll join us at the next one. And we'll be here online to answer your questions for another few minutes. So please feel free to send in more questions.
All right, and thank you everybody for taking your time to watch today.
Thank you.